Ochiai-san moves into the apartment next to the MC, and from the jump he's already giving her the side eye. After gatekeeping his V-card for this long, he suddenly gets an eyeful of a godly rack from the gloomy older woman next door, and to him, older honestly sounds even better. According to rumors, she's separated too, so now his imagination is really starting to act up. Every now and then during his usual solo fun time, he can hear her crying through the wall. Even with that, he doesn't think she's a bad person. She once gave his wallet back after he dropped it. That wallet had so little money in it, it came back home on its own out of embarrassment. One day, while he's coming home tired and complaining about life, he spots some old-timer trying to act cute while asking Ochiai-san out for a drink. She's so low on confidence and self-esteem that she actually starts to agree, but young blood steps in before that mess can go anywhere. MC swung that bag like he's been waiting his whole life to hit somebody legally. Calling him ugly was generous. Bro looked like a mistake that kept going, like an evil spirit and needs to get lost. Then he stands there pleased with himself, and says he knows a yokai when he sees one. Since his father was born in a temple, he says it must be his destiny to drive off dusty old weirdos hitting on hotties. Old man pulled up thinking he still had riz. Bro looked like expired courage in human form. Ochiai-san stares at him with tears in her eyes while he asks if she's okay. She thanks him and he just shrugs it off, saying they're neighbors, so it's nothing. But once she starts talking, she can't stop. She says she's a grown woman, and still couldn't even turn a creep like that down. She starts crying harder, and he tells her she didn't do anything wrong. He tries to reach toward her but she panics, says she caused too much trouble, and runs off before he can calm her down. All he can do is watch her leave, and wonder if she'll really be okay. As she goes, she quietly says he's a good person. But a few days later, she's outside hanging laundry when she spots him walking home, whistling to himself. Realizing she still needs to thank him properly, she hurries over and hands him a small gift box. He smiles when he takes it, and she asks if it's his day off. That smile disappears fast. He looks away and tells her he's not off. He's suspended. The old creep he folded like dirty laundry turned out to be someone with pull, and now he's even broker than before. Hearing that, she quickly tries to give him some money to make up for the pay cut, but he refuses right away. Her self-esteem drops through the floor, and she starts apologizing again, saying this all happened because of her. He tells her it's fine, and that she never asked him to jump in. He doesn't blame her at all, but she keeps apologizing and asks if there's anything she can do. For a second he wonders if he should ask for some Arara fun time, but even he knows that's wild, so he kills that thought immediately. Instead, he tells her his grandma sent him vegetables, but he can't cook for his life. He holds up a carrot like it's his emergency plan, and asks if she can maybe turn the veggies into something. That way his grandma will be happy too. She agrees, and once she starts cooking, he watches her like she's performing magic. When the food is finally ready and the table is set, he openly starts glazing her cooking skills. He says he's seriously impressed, and that catches her off guard. In a nervous voice, she admits she's never really been praised for her cooking before, and hearing it makes her happy. Then she quietly says she can do this all the time if he wants. He pauses, surprised, and she quickly adds that she only means it if she wouldn't be a bother. He shuts that down on the spot, and tells her he'd love to have her over every day. That night, Ochiai-san lies in bed tossing and turning. She keeps replaying his bright, energetic face in her head, especially the way he happily ate the food she made while showering her with compliments. With daddy issues and a marriage to a man who was more toxic than radioactive sludge, she's never really been praised like that before, and it hits her way harder than it should. He asked her to come again tomorrow, and instead of dreading it, she's actually excited, wondering what she should make for him next. Still, the doubts won't let her rest. She starts wondering if he was only flattering her to be nice. He's younger, energetic, and easy to talk to, so maybe he was just being kind because she cries so easily. The thoughts keep her awake until morning. The next day, after her shift ends, she's still thinking about him. Then, like always, her mind turns on her. She starts calling herself pathetic and childish, and wonders if this is exactly why her ex-husband got fed up with her. She convinces herself that sooner or later, this boy will probably think she's annoying too. Even with all that fear, she still promised she would go. So she forces herself to gather what little courage she has, and rings his doorbell. She tells herself she's the older one, so if it feels like she's bothering him, she can just head back home. But when he opens the door and smiles, she's already on the verge of tears, saying that she came, but she might just be getting in the way. He doesn't even let that sad speech finish. Instead, he immediately asks whether she likes coffee or tea. He says he brought both because he knew she'd come. He's a coffee guy himself, but she looks more like a tea person, probably because she's older and all that. That instantly softens her. She smiles in relief, and the mood between them warms up right away. It's raining hard enough to flood somebody's plans, and Ochiai-san looks down at her umbrella and realizes it's falling apart, just like her marriage did. Her mother gave her that umbrella back when she got married, and now, after the divorce, even it looks like it's ready to call it quits. Standing in front of a shopping center, she quietly tells herself it's time to go home. Then she looks up and sees the unthinkable. Her umbrella is getting stolen away by another woman. Even her umbrella saw a better future and left. She stares in shock, watching her umbrella leave with a homewrecker while she once again can't bring herself to say anything. She curses herself for being so spineless and is already about to cry again. Right then she wishes Sawatari-kun were there, and like the universe is trolling her, he actually appears. That instantly turns her into a blushing mess. He quickly figures out what happened and offers her his umbrella, saying he'll just run home since he's a runner anyway. She tries to refuse and heads into a convenience store to buy one, but they're all sold out. With no other choice, she has to accept his kindness. He starts to leave, saying he still has shopping to do too, and she watches him go while wishing she had even a tiny bit of courage. This time though, she manages to stop herself from freezing. She calls out to him and says they can just go home together under one umbrella, so neither of them get soaked. He lights up immediately and tells her she's a genius. In his mind, this is an insane win. The man gets to walk home with a baddie under the same umbrella and act normal about it. She starts wondering if maybe she should make tea for them once they get back, and he casually asks if she's coming over again today too. That makes her panic for a second and start backpedaling, but he quickly tells her she's always welcome. Meanwhile, somewhere behind them, the useless cheating umbrella finally breaks down for good. Farty smiles and tells her they should exchange contact information. That catches her off guard, but he explains it simply. If she comes over and he's not home, that would just be a hassle. With a line that's smooth, there's no way she's saying no. She agrees, saying it would be useful in a lot of ways. While she heads back to her place, she's smiling like she just unlocked a new life. Then reality hits. She's divorced. She's older. Why is she getting this flustered over a contact exchange? She tries to calm herself down, but her brain is already spiraling. What if he sends something weird? What if she annoys him? Before she can overthink herself into the ground, her phone buzzes. It's him. He's asking if she wants to go shopping later. She drops onto her futon, staring at the ceiling, wondering how he always shows up at the exact moment her brain starts sabotaging her. At this point, he's not fixing her anxiety. He's deleting it like a system update. He looks around the area and says they can finish all their shopping here. Then he casually adds that they should get her a new umbrella. She smiles to herself. Depending on how she looks at it, this almost feels like a date. He glances at the umbrellas she's checking out and raises an eyebrow, asking if that's really the one she's going for. She says the corn color looks nice. He then wanders over to the clothing section and asks if she's here for clothes too. That thought hadn't even crossed her mind, but now she's considering it. He ends up picking out an outfit for her. It's simple, classy, and way more stylish than what she usually wears. Her face turns bright red. She tries it on, and it fits perfectly, bringing out her features in a way she's not used to seeing. He tells her it looks great, and just like that, her heart starts acting up again. Ori, even though she doesn't usually wear things like this, she buys it anyway. As she looks at him, she suddenly remembers going on a date with her ex-husband. She can't even recall it being this fun. Back then, it felt like she was growing into adulthood, but now she realizes she was just forcing herself into something that never fit. But incomplete. She starts drifting back into that headspace. But he cuts right through it, saying the cake shop nearby is amazing, and he's a sucker for sweets. He suggests they go together. She smiles and admits that maybe she hasn't really changed, but today genuinely felt fun. After grabbing some cake, they head home. He's laughing about how good the cakes are, talking about how he likes them cheesy and gooey. She's sipping her tea when she accidentally spills some right in front of her. She panics and starts wiping it up quickly. Trying to be respectful, he turns away and heads to the restroom instead of hovering over her. Right then, there's a knock at the door. She answers it, and it's a delivery. He calls out from inside, asking her to grab the package he ordered. The delivery guy looks at her and immediately assumes she's his wife. That alone is enough to make her freeze. She tries to correct him, but somehow makes it worse, and now he thinks she's his girlfriend instead. The guy is standing there confused, looking like he's trying to figure out how this dude pulled this off. Man looked at the situation like the math wasn't mathing. She signs for the package with shaky hands and sends him off. When he comes back out and sees her blushing like that, he asks what's going on. She tries to play it off, saying it's nothing, but she clearly looks like she just lived through an entire alternate life in 30 seconds. Bellamy says he didn't expect the package to arrive while she was there. As she looks at it, she notices it's full of wooden parts. He smiles and says he likes working with wood. She looks over the pieces and the blueprint, trying to figure it out. At first she thinks it's a bookshelf, but it's too small. He tells her it's actually a spice rack. Then he explains why. She's always cooking for him, so he wanted to make things easier for her, even if it's just a little. That hits her hard. He's doing this for her, even though his salary is already cut. He brushes it off like it's nothing, and says he's just grateful for everything she's been doing. That moment brings back a memory she wishes stayed buried. Her ex-husband yelling at her for having too many spices. She had just wanted to cook more dishes for him, to make him happy. Instead, he snapped at her, saying their kitchen was too small, and asking if she was trying to make him look bad just because she was crying. She remembers wanting a place that actually felt like home, somewhere she's welcomed, somewhere she's appreciated. Back in the present, he smiles awkwardly and says he wants to help her cook too, even if he's not good at it. He thanks her again. That's it. No complaints, no criticism, just appreciation, for she suddenly turns and leaves, saying she has more things in her apartment. The moment she steps out, she starts crying, not because she's hurt, but because for once, she's somewhere she actually wants to stay. Work is almost over, and she's staring at the shelves thinking about how she had to cancel going to his place earlier because she had to cover someone else's shift. She's clearly not happy about missing it. Then he shows up right on time, completely flipping her mood. Her heart starts going crazy just seeing him. He says he was waiting for her to get off work, and they start walking home together. He acts like it's just a coincidence that they ran into each other. She smiles, playing along, saying it's a nice surprise. This man said coincidence with a straight face like he didn't plan this whole thing. He mentions he came out to buy dinner. She hesitates for a second, then asks if he'd like her to cook again since she hasn't eaten yet either. He smiles immediately. Perfect timing. He then tells her he actually prepared something for the next time she comes over. He shows her her favorite tea blend. He apologizes for always relying on her, but she shakes her head and says she actually likes being relied on. That slips out, and she gets flustered right after saying it. They walk under the open sky, and he points out how you can see the stars clearly from there. She looks up and realizes she's always been rushing home after work, never stopping to notice things like this. He asks what time she usually gets off. If it's late, they can take walks like this more often. She smiles and tells him that if they're together, it always feels like a bright night anyway. He admits he can never remember the constellations. She laughs softly and says she doesn't know them either. For once, not knowing something doesn't feel like a flaw. It just feels normal. After work, she heads over to his place to cook, but the moment she steps inside, a thought creeps in. Coming to a grown man's house this late feels a little off. She quickly reassures herself she's not staying over, just cooking and leaving. Simple, but after eating, exhaustion hits her like a truck. She leans against the wall for a second, and that's it. Lights out. He looks over and realizes she must be completely drained. She's quietly snoring, and for a moment he just watches her. She doesn't talk much about her past, but from what he knows, she was married, she cooks well, she's kind, she's beautiful. In his head, she's already top tier. Bro did one background check and decided she's endgame. Plex. He scratches his head, grabs a pillow, and quietly leaves the room so she can sleep properly. When she wakes up, confusion hits first, then realization. Her face heats up instantly. She looks around, trying to find him so she can apologize, and then she spots him, sleeping on the floor like a stray that adopted the apartment for the night. This man really gave up his bed like it was a side quest reward, but he wakes up and casually says good morning. She apologizes for passing out, but he just smiles and says it's his fault for talking too much. She hesitates, then asks if she can make him breakfast, but that instantly gets a smile out of him. Back in his kitchen, Ochiai-san is locked in, chopping vegetables with precision like she's speed-running dinner prep. She's been coming over so often that the entire stash his grandma sent is finally running out. Right then, a phone starts ringing. He looks around confused, and she spots it first. There's a girl calling him. Her mood flips instantly. Grip tightens, eyes narrow, and for a second she looks ready to unlock villain mode over a contact name. One incoming call, and she's already planning a boss fight. Before it escalates, he casually says it's his sister. Just like that, all the tension disappears. She relaxes, slowly putting the knife down like violence has been postponed. He answers the call and learns his sister is nearby and dropping off more vegetables. He tells Ochiai-san she'll be coming over for a bit. She smiles and says she should probably head back, but before she can move, knock, too late, his sister has arrived. He opens the door and his sister walks in, immediately telling him their grandma is worried he's turning into a skeleton after getting suspended. Though, this is Yuika, college student, zero fashion awareness, maximum confidence. She walks in like she owns the place, talking about how her cute self came to keep her brother company. Then she sees Ochiai-san, and freezes. Her brain is buffering trying to process why there's a woman in her brother's apartment. She straight up asks what a chick is doing in a loser's house. Friendly fire activated instantly. He snaps back asking who she's calling a chick, but Ochiai-san quickly steps in to calm things down. Meanwhile, Yuika switches gears and demands answers about their relationship. Everyone goes quiet, then she starts laughing, saying she gets it now. She's proud of her loser brother for somehow pulling a baddie. Even she can't believe it. Subith looked at him like he won a lottery nobody knew existed. He ignores all of that and focuses on the vegetables, while Ochiai-san comments that it seems like grandma didn't send much this time. Yuika corrects her immediately and says there are 3 more boxes in the car. Then she casually orders him to go get them. He heads out, leaving the two alone. Yuika starts warming up to her, and Ochiai-san feels relieved talking to someone else for once. But then Yuika suddenly asks how far things have gone between them. Instant panic. Blushing hard, she explains they're just neighbors and haven't even reached first base. Yuika is shocked but also not surprised. She says her brother is definitely the type to fumble like that. Ochiai-san relaxes a bit, but Yuika isn't done. She points out that if things keep going like this, nothing will ever happen. That hits. Ochiai-san feels uneasy, and Yuika notices immediately. In her head, she's already deciding she needs to step in. At this rate, these two are not progressing without intervention. After a warm shower, Ochiai-san checks her phone and sees a message from Yuika thanking her for lunch and inviting her out. She smiles, thinking Yuika is a good person just like her brother, but she's also very direct, almost too direct to deal with comfortably. Then she reads the next message. Yuika starts ranting about how her brother is the oldest in the family and is definitely into the older sister type, the kind with very specific features. Ochiai-san freezes on the wording. The way it's described makes it sound like she fits the criteria a little too well. It's like she's been pre-selected for the role, but that thought immediately sends her spiraling again. She starts thinking she's weak, unreliable, and not good enough. Meanwhile, Yuika is texting her brother, who casually mentions that the clippers got mixed in with the vegetables by mistake. She ignores that and immediately switches topics, teasing him about having a woman next door and asking when he became smooth like that. Wall he completely misses the angle and just says it's nice because she cooks for him. It feels like having a big sister around. That flips a switch in Yuika's brain. She connects the dots instantly. She messages Ochiai-san again, basically telling her she's on the right path. That only makes things worse. Now she's flustered and overthinking again, completely unable to handle the situation. The next day, she's back in the kitchen preparing food while he watches, noticing that people who cook well even cut onions differently. She doesn't mind his awkward attempts at conversation and calmly explains how to do it. She guides him step by step, and he actually manages to get it right. Not bad for a blockhead. Onwell together, they finish cooking, and he smiles, saying that if he keeps practicing, he might be able to cook on his own. That doesn't sit well with her. If he learns to cook, then he won't need her anymore. Before that thought settles too deeply, he follows it up by saying he wants to be the one cooking for her someday. That hits completely differently. He looks at her and says he's getting sleepy. But right then, Yuika's words echo in her mind. If things keep going like this, nothing will happen. And if nothing happens, someone else might take him. Rude. She takes a moment, gathers her courage, and calls out to him. They've been staying in too much. Maybe they should go out. He hesitates, saying he's technically under suspension, so getting seen outside could cause problems. But she doesn't back down. She says they can go somewhere far where no one will recognize them. And besides, she feels responsible for his suspension, so she wants to make it up to him. He pauses, then smirks slightly. Now he's thinking this might finally be his moment. Bro heard make it up to me. Sawatari-kun wonders if he's finally going to get some ara fun time. Imagination clocked in for overtime immediately. Back in her room, she immediately starts overheating over what she just did. Inviting him on a trip sounded bold in the moment, but now her brain is running full analysis mode. If they go far enough, they can avoid being seen, but that also means they won't make it back the same day. That leads to one dangerous conclusion. Overnight stay. Her thoughts spiral instantly, and now she's planning what she needs to buy like she's preparing for a life-changing event instead of a trip. Out of the store, she finishes her shopping and gets a few raffle tickets as change. She remembers getting some last time too, and now she finally has enough to try her luck. As she looks at the prize board, her eyes land on third place. A hot spring trip. That's exactly the kind of place adults go to relax. And suddenly, this feels like destiny setting the stage for her. She starts imagining how she'd even invite him if she won. Then reality steps in and humbles her immediately. She doesn't win anything, not even a consolation prize. Her mood drops on the spot, and now she's standing there holding disappointment like it came free with the tickets. Zero plot armor, just vibes and loss. Later, when she brings it up, she nervously tells him they talked about going out, and since she got the tickets, maybe they could go together. She quickly adds that it's fine if he doesn't want to, but he claps his hands immediately, fully on board. Bro heard trip and didn't even check the details, just accepted the mission. She smiles softly, knowing full well she didn't win anything. She bought the tickets herself. The day of the trip finally arrives, and he tells her it's time to head out. She shows up looking like she lost a fight with sleep itself, dark circles under her eyes and barely holding it together. She admits she couldn't sleep at all, and he casually says he couldn't either. Two people running on zero rest about to go on a trip like this is peak decision-making. They reach the station and board the train, only to realize the seating is arranged for two. Sitting side by side, they watch the scenery pass by, and slowly, exhaustion starts catching up. She tries to stay awake, but her eyes keep closing, and eventually she dozes off. When she wakes up, she realizes her head is resting on his arm. Her brain short-circuits instantly, but then she notices he's asleep too. That changes everything. If he's asleep, then technically this doesn't count. She decides to stay like that just a little longer, completely ignoring the fact that she is actively enjoying it. An announcement snaps them both out of it as the train arrives. He apologizes for falling asleep, but she laughs it off and admits she did the same. They both pretend nothing happened, even though everything definitely happened. They arrive at the inn and check into their room, and he looks around, impressed by how nice it is. She, on the other hand, is still stuck replaying the moment on the train, thinking about how comfortable his arm felt. Big, warm, and way too memorable for something that was supposed to be accidental. The Shikata's Joey tells her they should go check out the area, and they head outside, only to find most of the shops still closed since they arrived early. Instead of going back, he suggests taking a walk, and they follow a path that leads up a staircase toward a lookout point. As they walk, she starts struggling. She's not used to wearing a skirt like this, and between that and her build, even seeing where she's stepping becomes a challenge. She instantly regrets her outfit choice, realizing she prioritized looks over mobility like this was a fashion show. He notices and quietly holds out his hand. She hesitates for half a second, then takes it, and just like that, her heart starts racing again. His hand is big and warm, and now she has to focus on walking while her brain is doing everything except that. At the top, the view is great, but he suddenly looks around and suggests they head back. She wonders what's wrong, but then she sees it too. Storm clouds rolling in fast. She agrees, and they turn around to head back before things get worse. On the way down, she steps wrong and twists her ankle, the sound echoing way louder than it should. Back in the city, Yuika is sitting in class, bored out of her mind while it rains outside. She casually thinks about the two of them and wonders how far things are going, already invested in their progress like it's her personal project. Meanwhile, the two of them are stuck in a small shed as rain starts pouring down hard. He asks about her ankle, but she insists it's nothing serious. Still, she's not moving anywhere fast, and their hotel is just close enough to feel reachable, but far enough to be a problem. Without saying much, he takes off his hoodie and puts it on her. Then, before she can even process it, he picks her up. No hesitation, just straight into a bridal carry like this was the only logical solution. He runs through the rain carrying her, completely soaked but not slowing down. By the time they reach the hotel, he's freezing, but still insists they should go to the hot springs before he catches a cold. She hesitates and says she'll stay in the room. Being soaked is one excuse, but it's not the real reason. She fidgets, avoiding eye contact, and finally admits she doesn't feel comfortable going in with other people. The public bath is too much for her. He doesn't push it and heads off on his own while she stays behind. In the private bath, she slowly relaxes as the warm water helps her unwind. For a moment, everything feels perfect. The trip, the time together, the atmosphere. Then the guilt creeps in. She didn't win those tickets. She bought them and lied about it. Our thoughts spiral again, going back and forth between confessing and hiding it. One part of her believes he'll understand, while the other is convinced he'll hate her for it. Her mind turns into a full argument between angel and devil, and neither side is backing down. When he comes back, he finds her on the floor, completely broken down and apologizing. Through tears, she finally tells him the truth about the trip. Sawatari-kun finally learns the truth. She did not win the trip at all. She paid for the whole thing herself because she got carried away and wanted them to go together that badly. She confessing like she committed financial fraud for romance is insane. She starts apologizing again, but instead of getting upset, he just looks at her and asks if she really wanted to go to the hot spring that much. Bro got scammed and still left a 5-star review. That question alone nearly melts her on the spot. With her face heating up, she admits that yes, she really did want to go. Bloke, to her surprise, that only makes him happy. She nervously asks if he can forgive her, but he tells her there is nothing to forgive in the first place. If anything, he says he should be thanking her. Relief washes over her face so hard it almost looks painful, and she thanks him right back. All that panic, all that guilt, and this man responds like she just handed him the best gift of the year. Bro got lied to and still somehow came out feeling appreciated. After that, the two of them finally settle into the trip properly, and decide to just enjoy it. They look around the souvenir corner, mess around with air hockey, drink together through the night, and eventually head back to their futons to rest. By the time morning comes, the mood between them feels lighter than ever. They go out for breakfast, and he says he wants to check out the outdoor baths too. Watching him like that, she can't help thinking she wants to stay by his side forever. But all of a sudden, Sawatari-kun says the trip is over. She quietly agrees because all good things eventually come to an end. Even so, she can't help comparing this trip to the ones she took with her ex-husband, and there's no comparison at all. Back then, her heart got broken down piece by piece. This time, it feels like something inside her is finally being put back together. It's warm, and for once, being with someone feels good instead of painful. Nothing dramatic happens after that. There's no huge leap, no sudden change, just the two of them being in a genuinely good mood. She keeps wondering what this feeling really is, while he smiles and tells her plainly that being with her is the best. That catches her completely off guard and leaves her blushing all over again. She tells him she feels the same way, and he says they've really been having fun together. Then reality steps back in. He mentions that next week he'll finally be going back to work. Hearing that makes her hesitate for a second before asking if, after his suspension ends, she can still come over and cook for him. Being by herself feels lonely now, and she doesn't want that to go back to how it used to be. He laughs and tells her he wants that too. The two of them go back to their usual routine, but right when things start feeling safe again, Dark clouds begin gathering overhead like life is winding up for another cheap shot. After they come back from the hot spring trip, she looks at the hoodie she borrowed from him that day in the rain. Even though she tells herself she should wash it later, she ends up putting it on again for just a little while. Then she curls up in her futon with it still wrapped around her and quietly promises herself she'll clean it afterward. The hoodie made one heroic rescue run and now got promoted to emotional support uniform. Meanwhile, she goes right back to making dinner for him like always. She finishes cooking, looks over the meal with a small smile and tells herself she'll just wait for Sawatari-kun to get home. In her head, it almost feels like she's his wife already, and that thought alone makes her soften all over. When he does get back though, something feels off immediately. She asks how work was after all this time, but he seems strangely quiet. After hesitating, he finally tells her the truth. He's being transferred. At first it takes a second for her to process what he means, but then it hits her all at once. He's being sent to another company, far away, and that means he'll have to move. The tears start rolling down her face before she can stop them. She had only just found happiness again, and now it feels like it's being taken away from her. Even so, she still tries to force a brave face and tells him it's his job, so of course he has to go. Then she turns and runs off crying before she completely falls apart in front of him. After getting back to her apartment, she shuts herself in and cries her eyes out while he sends messages she can't even bring herself to answer. Eventually she comes back out and apologizes for everything, but the way she looks makes it obvious she's carrying far more than just this one goodbye in her chest. As the reality of his transfer sinks in, she can't stop thinking back to the night they first met. Since then, Sawatari-kun has only ever been kind to her, and even though it hasn't actually been that long, she already wants to stay with him if there's any way at all. He apologizes for having to move so suddenly, but she immediately tells him he has nothing to apologize for. Her mind, though, she keeps blaming herself anyway. First he got suspended because of her, and now it feels like even his future is being stolen because of a divorcee like her. She wants to ask if she can go with him, but to her, even thinking that feels selfish. So instead she nervously asks if it would at least be okay for her to come visit sometime. But before she can spiral any further, he speaks first, with his own nerves showing. He asks if it's possible for her to come with him when he moves. For a second she just stares at him, unable to process what she heard. Then the tears start falling again. Except this time they aren't from grief. They're from pure relief. She spent all this time thinking she was about to lose him, and this man was over here trying to pack her in with the furniture. After the two of them finish walking home with groceries, Sawatari-kun tells her he's heading off to work. She sends him off, then settles back into their new routine. Living together in this new place still feels surreal to her. She keeps thinking about how she, a divorced crybaby, somehow ended up with cheerful, laid-back Sawatari-kun, and before she even realized it, they were already building a life together. While out and about, she spots a little cat and tries to call it over, but the thing freezes for a second, looks away and completely ignores her like she offended its bloodline. She gets a little down over that, but her mood picks up almost immediately when she starts thinking about getting a bike. If she had one, she could ride around the neighborhood and get more used to the area. At a secondhand store, she finds a bike that actually looks pretty decent. She takes it out, already feeling attached to it, and starts comparing the two of them in her head. Both abandoned, both a little worn down, but still not ready to be written off. The speech is touching for about 5 seconds because the bike immediately betrays her, breaks down, and sends her crashing. She really gave that bike an underdog speech and it responded with attempted murder. Later that evening, Sawatari-kun notices the bruises and asks what happened. She tells him she fell off the bike, and he quickly checks it over. It looks nice enough from the outside, but the condition is clearly rough. Even so, he casually fixes it like he's been waiting for an excuse to turn into a handyman. She watches him work and whispers to the bike that he's amazing, that they're dating, and that the bike better not fall in love with him too. He's not going to be riding that thing anyway, he has other business. When he asks what she's mumbling about, she immediately blurts out that it's nothing, and later that night they settle in with Salisbury steak for dinner. The next day she rides her trusty bike to the local shopping center and starts checking the bulletin board for job openings. She later asks him what kind of job he thinks would suit her best. Since she worked at a supermarket before, she wants to try something different this time. He thinks for a bit, then admits he's never done any of those jobs himself, which is the least useful career counseling possible. Then he says something that somehow still works. He tells her that when she wore an apron at the supermarket, he thought she looked amazing. That's it. That's the advice. Useless in theory, devastatingly effective in practice. She actually takes it seriously, and a few days later she ends up getting hired at a coffee chain where she has to wear an apron. She tries the apron on and asks how she looks. He compliments her immediately, which sends her motivation straight through the roof. As she starts getting used to the job, he even helps her practice by acting like a customer and ordering coffee from her. Afterward, he surprises her with cheesecake to celebrate her new job, and the two of them share another one of those soft little moments that keep sneaking up on them. A few days into the new job, she's already carrying orders around and getting the hang of things. One of the women at the cafe, a gloomy coworker she privately labels as an emo chick, tells her she's doing pretty well. That instantly makes her feel better, and she's relieved to realize her superior actually seems nice. After her shift ends, she rides her bike home as usual, but along the way she notices a dark little tunnel and wonders if it was always there. Thinking it might be a useful shortcut, she decides to try it. That decision immediately backfires. Instead of cutting time, she ends up lost in the woods while the evening gets darker around her. By the time he gets home, he's already wondering why she's so late. Then she finally shows up, completely worn out and sweating like she just finished a secret training arc. She huffs that there really are no shortcuts in life. He laughs, says he'll get some iced tea ready, and tells her to head upstairs, but she can't even move her legs properly. When she admits she can't make it up the stairs to their third-floor apartment, he doesn't hesitate. He picks her up bridal style again and carries her up. The next day she can barely walk into the cafe, moving like she just got nerfed overnight. Her coworker looks at her and immediately asks why she's walking so weird. Bukinchuk, she tells Sawartari-kun she can't even remember the last time her legs cramped this badly. He starts massaging her feet and offers to get her something to drink while she tries to relax. As she starts taking off her jacket, she suddenly realizes her shirt turned completely see-through from all the sweat. That makes her panic instantly. She zips the jacket right back up and quickly tells him she's fine just like this. Then at the cafe, Emo Chick starts learning a little more about Ochiai-san, especially about her divorce, and it turns out she has gone through one too. She asks if Ochiai-san is living with him now, and whether they're already at the point of putting their names in the family register. Ochiai-san quickly clears that up and says they're not there yet. Last time she got swept along into marriage too fast, and it ended badly, so this time she wants to think about things for herself. Umochik then asks how she feels about him, and that alone is enough to turn Okiwai-san into a tomato. She starts stammering that he's really good, which is not exactly a subtle answer. At that point, it's painfully obvious she's already deep in boyfriend brain. Emo Chick crosses her arms and points out that while both of them want happiness without repeating their old mistakes, Ochiai-san is still taking things way too slow for someone already living with her man. Sinrus is living with her boyfriend and still moving like the relationship needs a permit. After their girl talk keeps rolling into the evening, he finally comes home. Ochiai-san greets him and suggests maybe they should go somewhere on their next day off. He agrees right away like a well-trained good boy, and she explains that Emo Chick mentioned a few sightseeing spots. Then she adds that she wants to check out a shrine, even though it's a little far away. When she tells him it's a matchmaking shrine, he just smiles and says they should definitely go. Now that it's decided, he suddenly says they should practice visiting a shrine properly, and mentions that they'll have to clap 4 times. When they finally arrive, it's obvious right away that the shrine is popular. Since it's famous for matchmaking, the place is packed with people, especially young couples and hopeful singles. Looking around at all those people makes Okiai-san a little embarrassed about praying there, but she still decides to focus. In her heart, she quietly prays that the two of them will someday be tied together in happiness. Part of her feels like that prayer might be a little greedy, but another part of her thinks it's fine if this is at least one step toward real progress. He looks around and comments on how big the shrine is, and she agrees while pointing out the charms on display. He, on the other hand, is just as interested in the food stalls nearby, which quickly shifts them from sacred mood to date mode. The two of them start having fun wandering from stall to stall, looking at different things and enjoying themselves. Then, when the train gets crowded, he grabs her hand and pulls her closer without even thinking about it. That one move completely wrecks her. Her brain instantly turns into mashed potatoes, and now she's wondering if the matchmaking shrine already started doing business. They keep moving in that flustered little bubble until things go wrong in the dumbest way possible. In all the confusion, they get on the wrong train and end up totally lost. By the time they realize it, it's already night, and now instead of heading home smoothly, the two of them are stuck trying to figure out how to get back. Omlo. As the night drags on, she admits they've already walked a really long way and that she's too tired to keep going properly. Then, because the universe likes piling on, she trips and almost completely crashes out. He just smiles, crouches down, and gives her a piggyback ride like it's the most natural thing in the world. That only gives her one more thing to overthink. While clinging to him, she starts worrying that she's heavy and that she really should have tried harder to lose weight. As usual, her thoughts immediately go to war with her self-esteem. He doesn't even seem remotely bothered, though. He casually says he used to want to be a firefighter, and trained a lot for it, so this is no problem. That only makes her admire him more. He laughs and says he failed the written exam, but even then she still thinks he sounds cool. When he says being in a job where he could save people sounded amazing, he also wonders aloud whether things would have turned out differently if he had tried harder. She encourages him right away and says that kind of job actually feels perfect for him. Then he mentions something else that catches her off guard. Since his pay got cut before, he's been thinking more seriously about finding a new job, especially because in the future they might need more money. The second she hears that, her imagination sprints way ahead of the conversation. In her head, future instantly becomes marriage, children, and a whole family plan. One vague sentence and she already skipped to the tax benefits of motherhood. She snuggles closer against him while he keeps walking them home. Eventually, they finally make it back to civilization and stop at a convenience store. Since her shoes are done for, they look around for a pair of cheap sandals first. Once that little emergency is solved, they're at least able to keep moving without her feet filing a formal complaint. The cashier then tells them they already missed the last bus, and apparently this kind of thing happens a lot. According to him, plenty of people just spend the night at the manga cafe down the road. The only problem is that it's about 10 kilometers away. Oshii-san says that's still a lot of walking, but at least with the new sandals it should be easier than before. So the two of them set out again, and somewhere along the way they even spot a shooting star while heading toward the cafe. After 3 straight hours of walking, they finally make it. Once they're checked in, she heads off for a shower. When she comes back and apologizes for taking a while to dry her hair, she finds him already asleep. He must be exhausted after carrying her around earlier. Seeing him asleep like that makes her soften immediately. She quietly thanks him for everything and leans in to kiss him on the cheek. The second she does it, she freezes and stands up again, realizing how bad it would be if he woke up right then. But because the room is so small, there's no real space to escape anyway, so she ends up curling up and snuggling against him. Morning comes, and she wakes up in a very awkward but very happy position. The second she realizes how close they are, her brain gets flooded with enough happy hormones to light a small city. She just lies there for a while, silently enjoying it until he finally wakes up about 30 minutes later and finds her glowing like she just got blessed by the shrine itself. The two of them head to the convenience store, grab some breakfast, and then get ready to catch the bus. She tells him she had a lot of fun and that she feels even closer to him now. Part of her even wonders if maybe the shrine really is working. It would honestly explain a lot. The next day at work, she tells Karasumi all about what happened. Karasumi laughs and immediately asks where they spent the night. When Ochiai-san says they stayed at a manga cafe until morning, Karasumi instantly starts teasing her, pointing out that for adults, a manga cafe is kind of a risky place to end up together. At first, Ochiai-san doesn't get it, but Karasumi just keeps smirking until it finally clicks. She panics and insists that nothing like that happened. Karasumi tells her that next time, if the two of them want to hang out overnight, they should just go to a hotel like normal people. Once they're finally back home again, she proudly shows him her first paycheck. After covering living expenses and their usual spending, she says they should be able to use the extra money to start buying furniture for the apartment. That immediately turns into a trip to a big furniture store, where she says they need things that are cheap but still decent quality. They start going through budgets, walking aisle by aisle and figuring out what would actually fit the apartment. A kitchen cabinet catches their attention first because it looks like the perfect match for their space, but her focus quickly wanders somewhere else. She spots a love seat that looks cozy enough for some very dangerous watching TV together activities, and instantly starts imagining them sitting there side by side while things get a little too comfortable. Then she sees a queen-size bed. That one sight sends her heart straight into overdrive. In 1 second, her imagination is already gone, picturing the two of them sleeping together on it, and everything that might come after. She was supposed to be shopping for furniture, and now her brain is doing Olympic-level long jumps into the future. The moment she sees the bed, it's over. Her brain locks in instantly. She wants it, badly. The only problem is the price tag is sitting there like a personal insult. For a split second, she imagines throwing a full tantrum, but instead she pulls out a check and casually asks him what he thinks. He takes one look and says it's huge, basically a trampoline, and definitely out of their budget. That should have been the end of it. Instead, she smiles and says she actually has more money than she let on. 1 sentence later, and she's already justifying it like this bed is a long-term investment in their future marriage. The man is thinking about back support. She's mentally picking honeymoon destinations. Then she reveals the truth. The money came from selling her wedding ring. For a second, there's weight behind that, but she keeps smiling and says it's fine to use it. That past hurt her, so now she's choosing something that will make her future better. The cashier rings it up saying delivery will take time, but she's already impatient. Meanwhile, he just offers to give her a back massage until then, like a calm NPC handing out side quests while she's rewriting her entire life arc. Right after she uses back pain as her excuse, he takes it completely seriously and offers to give her a massage. No hesitation, no second meaning, just pure "you said it hurts so I fix it" energy. My guy hears "my back hurts" and activates support mode like it's his main quest, while she's out here playing a completely different game. She asks to bathe first, trying to mentally prepare herself, but even then her thoughts are already sprinting ahead. By the time she lies down, she's fully aware of what this situation could be, while he's just focused on technique. He starts working carefully, asking if it's okay, checking pressure like a professional. Meanwhile, she's trying to survive the situation without combusting. He asks how it feels, and she says her body feels light as a feather. He casually says he can do this every day if she wants. 1 sentence and her brain, already scheduling daily married life routines like this, is locked in forever. The moment he finishes, she immediately offers to return the favor. Now it's her turn. He lies down without overthinking it at all, completely trusting her. Meanwhile, she lies down too, and the second she gets close, her brain starts spiraling again. Her thoughts go straight into overdrive, imagining things that aren't even happening, while he just sits there wondering what she's mumbling about. She quickly shuts it down and says it's nothing. She's fighting demons in her head, while he's just waiting for a normal massage like a peaceful NPC in a safe zone. Out of nowhere, he suggests going to the beach because it's hot. Simple idea, normal plan. That 1 sentence hits her like a critical strike. she immediately starts worrying about her age, her appearance, her swimsuit, and every possible outcome at once. One beach trip and her brain already drafting a full insecurity report. He, on the other hand, just says they can walk by the sea and cool off. That's it. That's his entire thought process. When they arrive, the mood softens. She enjoys the breeze, saying it's been a while since she came to a place like this. They walk along the shore, picking up shells like it's the most peaceful thing in the world. Then the tide rolls in and drenches her completely. That's when he decides they might as well just go in. They spend the rest of the time enjoying the water and the evening together. As the sky turns red after dinner, he casually suggests going to the convenience store for ice cream. She agrees, and then he adds that he wants to try pouring alcohol over it. Just a normal idea to him. To her, this is already turning into a whole vibe. At the store, they run into Karasumi, who immediately starts asking questions. She's picking up something for her son, along with a couple of drinks, and casually asks what they're doing there. Then she throws in a line about whether they're out of protection. That instantly sends Ochiai-san into meltdown mode. She panics and blurts out that they're just here for ice cream. Meanwhile, Karasumi starts praising him like she's doing a full character review, calling him dependable, family-oriented, and cute. One compliment and Ochiai-san's embarrassment hits maximum level. Karasumi keeps teasing, saying he's good at making her wait, and Ochiai-san is practically begging her to stop. After she leaves, the atmosphere settles again, but the damage is already done. Later that night, they go back to their peaceful routine and share dinner like nothing happened, while she's still mentally recovering from that ambush. As the typhoon approaches, the mood shifts. The power is out, the storm is raging, and she finally moves in with full intent. Her eyes lock in, and she's ready. This is the moment. He reaches into his bag and pulls something out, saying he prepared for this situation in advance. She tries to act calm, but internally she's expecting something completely different. It's a pack of cards. That's it. He just wants to play cards. He says they should treat it like camping and have fun. One of them is thinking about survival bonding. The other is mentally writing a romance climax. The gap is insane. Still, once they start playing, they actually have fun. Then thunder hits, and she instantly hides in his arms. He calmly comforts her, saying his little sister was afraid of thunder too, and he used to help her. She thanks him, but being this close sends her straight into emotional overload. By morning, the storm is gone. She wakes up fully recharged, while he looks completely drained. He says it's good they had the day off. She agrees, then casually suggests moving their beds a little closer. One night of thunder and her brain already merging furniture like it's a marriage update. Out of nowhere, Karasuma asks if she's free tomorrow. Her son will be away overnight for a school event, so she suggests they go out drinking. Ochiai-san smiles and accepts, and the next day the two of them are already at a bar. Karasuma apologizes for dragging her away from hot beefcake at home, but Ochiai-san just says he's nice enough to let her go and that she even prepared dinner before leaving. She's out here balancing girlfriend duties like a full-time job, while Karasuma is just trying to survive adulthood. Karasuma admits she thinks he's a good guy, but she can't understand why Ochiai-san feels the need to take care of him so much. That question hits deeper than expected. Instead of answering directly, Ochiai-san shifts the topic and asks about Karasuma's love life. Karasuma immediately shuts it down, saying that part of her life is basically over. Still, watching Ochiai-san talk about him makes something in her chest tighten a little. The mood dips for a moment as Karasuma reflects on her own past, but she quickly apologizes and says they should talk about something fun instead. A few drinks later, they leave the bar, and Karasuma says she'll take a walk to sober up. Ochiai-san, on the other hand, is already slipping into nonsense mode and ends up back at Karasuma's apartment. That's when reality hits. She can't find her keys. Not in her pockets, not in her bag, nowhere. She tries to remember where she left them, but her brain is completely offline. One night of freedom and her memory already resigned from duty. With no options left, she starts thinking she might have to sleep in her car and call the landlord in the morning. Right as she's spiraling, a voice calls out to Karasuma. The voice belongs to Takakun, a quiet, serious guy who lives next door and works at a nearby factory. He notices Karasuma outside and immediately tells her she'll get sick if she stays out like this. When she explains she lost her keys, he doesn't hesitate and offers to let her stay at his place for the night. Karasuma hesitates for a second, thinking about Ochiai-san and everything else, but eventually accepts. At this point, she's too tired to fight it. Meanwhile, Ochiai-san is somewhere else entirely, being carried again like it's part of her daily routine. Back at home, he helps her settle down, putting a coat over her and trying to get her to sleep. That should have been the end of it. Instead, her brain flips the switch again. She grabs his wrist, pins him down, and declares that when she gets serious, she's actually amazing. For 1 second, she's ready to rewrite the entire relationship dynamic. And then it cuts. It's a dream. Her brain really said let's skip all character development and went straight to the final arc. Meanwhile, real life continues quietly. Karasuma eventually gets back into her own apartment, smiling faintly despite the hangover creeping in. The next morning hits hard. Karasuma wakes up with a hangover and immediately notices she never even took a proper bath. She rushes into the shower trying to reset herself, but when she comes out, she realizes her clothes are still across the room. Now she's stuck in a towel, trying to sneak across without waking him up. For a moment she hesitates, then just commits and walks out anyway. He starts waking up at the worst possible time, and before he can even process what's happening, she wraps him up in a towel like he's being taken hostage. He's confused, asking if he's getting robbed, while she hurriedly tells him to stay still. My guy woke up into a full stealth mission and still has no idea what game he's playing. Once she finally gets dressed, everything settles, and he goes right back to normal like nothing even happened. After everything that's happened, she starts thinking more seriously about their relationship. They've been living together for a while now, and even though things are comfortable, something feels like it's missing. She doesn't want to rush into marriage again, but at the same time she wants to take a step forward. Her thoughts don't stay calm for long. The moment she decides she wants to get closer, her brain immediately starts drafting a full strategy like this is a military operation. Once a month she hits this exact phase, and today just happens to be that day. Karasuma immediately notices something's off and asks what's going on. Ochiai-san spills everything, and Karasuma quickly realizes what's happening. She says it's not that Ochiai-san is unsure anymore, it's that she's running out of patience. That lands perfectly. Ochiai-san agrees and asks what she should do. What follows is a full strategy meeting. Plans, possibilities, backup plans. At this point she's treating romance like a tactical mission, while the man she's targeting is probably just thinking about dinner. Karasuma suggests starting with something smaller, reminding her that moving in together was already a huge step. Later that day, he comes home, and she casually suggests they go on a date tomorrow. He agrees instantly. No hesitation, no suspicion. She tells him she already has something planned, and they'll talk about it over dinner. My guy accepted a mystery date with 0 questions like a true NPC following the main quest marker. Karasuma brings up the idea of preparing for the school's Halloween event. Ochiai-san is confused since it's only October, but Karasuma is already thinking ahead. She mentions her old zombie costume and suggests going for something different this time. Ochiai-san tries something new and ends up in a full plague mask and a tight outfit that shows way more than expected. Karasuma looks at her and immediately questions whether that's even appropriate for a school event. She really skipped festive costume and went straight to final boss design. The night before the date, she's in the shower, going over the plan again and again. Resort, aquarium, drinks, and then a hotel. Simple plan on paper. In her head though, this is already turning into a full life event. One date and her brain already running simulations for 3 different timelines. Meanwhile, he casually asks if they'll be staying overnight and suggests booking a hotel. She tells him she already handled it, which earns her a compliment. That alone is enough to keep her awake. Karasuma's advice echoes in her head. Sitting around won't get her anywhere. She has to actually take action. As he falls asleep peacefully, she's wide awake, staring at the ceiling, running the entire plan on repeat like it's a rehearsal. By the time the sun starts rising, she's already locked in. Tomorrow isn't just a date to her anymore. It's a mission. Freiboyden finally arrive at the resort theme park, and the place is already chaos with people screaming on roller coasters like they just signed a life waiver. They go from ride to ride, but while he's just enjoying the day like a normal human, she's running a completely different mission in her head. She's thinking about the suspension bridge effect, how danger can make people feel closer, and suddenly this entire park turns into her personal romance lab. One ride in and her brain already writing a research paper on how to fall in love faster. He suggests the Ferris wheel, and they step inside, slowly rising into the air. Now they're alone in a tiny enclosed space, and her thoughts immediately go off the rails. This is it, the perfect setup, the moment she's been waiting for. She starts leaning in, heart racing, fully committing to the scene she built in her head, and then reality humbles her instantly. A couple of kids from another cabin start waving at them like it's a family outing. Her face goes red, and she immediately backs off. One second she's planning a kiss. Next second she's getting photobombed by elementary school energy. Her entire future kid's imagination just got cancelled by actual kids. They move on to the aquarium right next to the park, stepping into a quiet, dim space that feels completely different from the chaos outside. Fish glide slowly through the water, and everything feels calm, almost too calm. He looks at a shark and casually wonders why it doesn't eat the smaller fish, while she is out here trying to manage a full emotional breakdown over hand-holding. She picked this place for a reason. The quiet atmosphere, the darkness, the mood. This is supposed to be where she finally pushes things forward. Instead of overthinking, she decides to act. If this is a date, then they should hold hands. Simple move, nothing complicated. He agrees instantly and intertwines his fingers with hers like it's the most normal thing in the world. Meanwhile, her heart is going through 5 different phases at once. She tries to calm down, but the moment already hits too hard. He casually points out a weird-looking fish, but she is not in the mood to look at anything else. The only weird thing here is how fast her face is overheating over basic human contact. They arrive at the inn, and he casually mentions how much he enjoyed his drink, while she sits there sipping a mojito for the first time. On the outside, everything looks fine, but internally she feels like the entire date is falling apart. Every plan she made, every strategy she built, none of it is working. She's trying to push things forward, and he's just existing peacefully like he missed the entire script. Her thoughts spiral fast. Maybe she's not cut out for this. Maybe she overthought everything. Maybe she's just messing up something that was already fine. One failed plan and her brain already filing a full report on why she's a lost cause. He, on the other hand, is just enjoying the moment. He calls the atmosphere refreshing while she downs another drink, but her vision starts to blur. Lack of sleep catches up to her fast, and now her energy is dropping at the worst time. Instead of forcing anything, he suggests they go for a walk by the seaside. They walk along the sand, and even though it wasn't part of her plan, she agrees immediately. This part feels natural. No strategy, no pressure, just the two of them walking and talking. He looks out at the ocean and calls it beautiful, and that's when it clicks for her. This is their pace. Not forced moments, not planned moves, just simple time together. The night settles in, and the moonlight makes everything feel softer. She finally gathers enough courage to say what she's been holding back. She admits she wants to be more affectionate, to do more lovey-dovey things. It comes out messy, mixed with everything she's been overthinking all day, but it's honest. He listens carefully and realizes that's why she's been acting differently. She admits she's tired now, completely drained after everything. Instead of overcomplicating it, he offers something simple. He asks if carrying her would be enough. He picks her up easily, but not in some dramatic romantic way. It's more like carrying a sleepy kid, and somehow that ends up being exactly what she needed. It's not what she imagined, but it feels right. A win is a win, and she's not about to complain. As she rests against him, she thinks about how far she's come. Before meeting him, her heart was broken, heavy and closed off. Now it feels warm again, full, steady, safe, the kind of feeling she thought she lost for good. She gathers her courage one more time and finally confesses properly. No strategy, no overthinking, just pure honesty. She tells him how she feels, and for a moment everything slows down as they lean in closer. Right as the moment builds, reality pulls the plug again. She opens her eyes and realizes they're not in a hotel room at all. They're in a car. Everything that just happened, the confession, the kiss, all of it was just a dream. He wakes up and apologizes, explaining they never made it to the hotel. They ended up falling asleep in the car instead. She remembers being carried, running out of energy, and passing out before anything could happen. The entire perfect ending her brain created was just that, her brain doing overtime again. She apologizes for messing things up, but he just smiles and says it's fine. Then, out of nowhere, he scratches his cheek and quietly confesses his feelings too. No build-up, no dramatic timing, just a simple, honest confession. That hits harder than everything she imagined. She remembers her own confession, the almost kiss, and everything in between. Her chest tightens, but this time it's not anxiety, it's something warm. She starts giggling, completely unable to contain it. After everything, this is what she gets. Not perfect timing, not a scripted moment, just something real. Karasuma listens to the whole story and immediately smiles. There's none of that awkward tension she expected from someone who went through a divorce. Instead, it just sounds natural, almost comfortable. She starts to comment on it, but her phone rings, cutting her off mid-thought. Later, Ochai-san rushes home with full energy because something important has finally arrived. A two-person bed. This is it, the next stage. One delivery and her brain already redesigning the entire relationship roadmap. She remembers Karasuma joking about turning her place into a love hotel, and now that idea doesn't sound like a joke anymore. She sets everything up, pushes the pillows together, and waits for him to come home. When he arrives, she proudly shows him the new bed like it's a major achievement. Dinner is ready, and she tries to drop hints, mentioning there's a lot of meat in tonight's dish, clearly expecting him to pick up on something. He doesn't, not even a little. She's out here setting the stage, building momentum, dropping clues, and this man is still running on default settings. Two people full of energy, ready to make something happen, and somehow nothing actually happens. At this point, her plans aren't failing. They're getting ignored by a man who genuinely doesn't see the script. Morning starts simple, and just like that, he heads off to work again, while Ochiai-san handles the garbage and casually updates Kitty about their new bed. She even mentions they slept holding hands like it's breaking news, but Kitty stays completely uninterested. She's out here announcing relationship milestones while the cat is running zero reactions, not even a courtesy blink. Before she can overthink too much, he suddenly runs back saying he forgot to ask her something and that he'll have time tonight. Later, they head out together to watch a meteor shower, driving out into an open area where the sky is clear. She's excited since it's her first time, while he just mentions hearing about it on TV. Same event, completely different energy. She's treating this like a core memory, and he's just here because the weather report sounded nice. They park and look up at the sky, waiting for shooting stars. The quiet moment pulls them into the past, and he remembers walking home with her after work. She smiles, recalling those supermarket days, realizing how much has changed since then. One calm night and her brain already turning this into a full life progression montage. He starts fidgeting, and she notices immediately. When she asks, he says he's thinking about what to wish for if they see a shooting star. She calls him cute, already thinking of her own wish. and when he asks what she chose, she blushes and says she wants to keep living with him. He smiles and says he wished for the same thing. No build-up, no hesitation, just a clean answer. Meanwhile, she packaged her feelings like a dramatic reveal, and he just delivered the same line like it was a daily thought. That gap right there is their entire relationship. The moment settles, quiet and warm, as they sit together under the sky. He talks about how nice it is spending each day like this, sharing small pieces of happiness and simple walks. She silently wishes it could last forever, fully locked into the feeling. Then he says he has something he wants to get off his chest. She tilts her head, curious, while he slowly grips a familiar blue box hidden behind his back. 1 month later, everything has shifted. Karasuma looks straight at the ring and immediately asks if they're already in the family registry. Ochiai-san is glowing, saying they'll visit their families first and take things step by step. She tries to stay calm, but she's engaged now, one ring in her brain already planning the next 5 life stages like it's a checklist. Karasuma jokes about quitting cigarettes once Ochiai-san quits something too, but the joke doesn't land. Meanwhile, he comes home, and she brings out lunch, talking about the vegetables Granny gave them and how she's glad she's doing well. It's calm, steady, and grounded, which is exactly their rhythm. His little sister drops by, and it becomes clear they haven't fully met each other's families yet. He suggests they should fix that soon, maybe during the New Year holidays, since they'll have time. She agrees, even though it feels like a big step waiting ahead. She closes the curtains and notices snow falling outside, and he casually suggests building a snowman. That's all it takes. One suggestion and she lights up instantly, fully invested like this is the highlight of the day. They head outside and start building it together. It comes out a little off, but they laugh it off easily. He suggests making a snow woman next, and just like that, they keep going. No plans, no pressure, just simple moments stacking quietly. Somewhere else, Karasuma's morning starts with her son calling out, wanting to go see Taka-kun. She gets up, checks on him, and watches him head out into the snow. As she looks around, she notices Taka walking by and greets him. He mentions being exhausted from work and barely holding up, while she immediately picks up on it. One sentence in and she's already calculating his schedule like she's running a full audit on his life. She offers to help, suggesting he come inside, eat something, and even take a bath to recover. He accepts and the two share a quiet, easy moment. No pressure, no overthinking, just something steady building in the background. Back on their side, he heads out for the day, and she sends him off warmly. Even after getting engaged, one thought still lingers in her mind. That hot spring trip. It was fun, but she knows she held herself back. This time, she wants to do it differently. No hesitation, no second guessing. She decides they'll go again, and this time she'll be honest with herself. They arrive at the snowy hot spring, stepping out of the car as she compliments his driving. The place looks beautiful, and he immediately comments on how expensive it seems, joking about her playing the sugar mommy role. She reminds him he proposed first, so this is only fair, and he accepts that logic without a fight. They check into a luxurious room with a balcony bath, and everything feels a little surreal. After a long day, he suggests she use the bath after him, but her mind is already focused on one thing. Last time she stopped herself. This time she's not backing down. When she enters, she tries to act confident, but the nerves hit instantly. 1 second she's ready to take a bold step. Next second she's struggling to even stand normally. Her confidence shows up for 5 seconds and then immediately clocks out. Still, she pushes through and joins him, finally settling into the moment. He casually comments on how strange yet luxurious it feels, bathing like this while snow covers everything outside. She agrees and mentions checking out the bar later, slowly relaxing now that the hardest part is over. Elsewhere, Karasuma hears about the trip and notices something immediately. Ochiai-san isn't just happy, she's glowing. 1 trip and she's shining like she just leveled up her entire life. She looks in the mirror. She has to do something about the pudding head. If she dyes it, black roots will show up again. She wonders if she should try to switch and dye the whole thing black. He helps her dye her hair. She looks at him, wondering how it looks. He claps his hands, saying that it makes her look like a mature lady. He smiles, saying that he knows what to say. He is a smooth operator, but now she is all fired up to make hamburgers tonight. The next day, he is looking at she in surprise, as her hair is starting to change color, but from the tip instead of the roots.